Hi stamping friends, Sandi MacIver here. Welcome back. Hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to be sharing a super easy watercolor technique using Distress Oxide ink. I'm creating with the Stampers Anonymous Flower Garden stamp set along with the coordinating dies, and just to let you know, the dies also coordinate with the mini Bouquet set. There's actually 18 dies in there, and I'm also using Hero Art's Hello Stamp and Cut. I did 2 layers of stamping on the card front, and so I'm going to start doing the front and the inside and the background stamping. That's all done in the VersaFine black, and I'm using this stem, stamping it twice, and then I'm going back and I'm going to stamp the top of the flower twice, and I'm going to do it again on the inside of the card. I'm also going to add the sentiment at this time. This sentiment set has a large die that says hello, and then it also has a lot of coordinating little sentiments that go along with it. So I want the small one on the front of my card, and then here's my inside. And all of these pieces are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And this is kind of what I call my background noise, a little bit of stamping going on in the background. You want to really clean your stamps off for this next step. So I'm using my absorber to clean my stamps and then stamping to make sure they're good and clean. I'm using my MISTI, and I'm going to put a piece of Canson watercolor paper into it. It's 5 by 5, and here I'm laying down the stem again and the flower head, and I'm going to be stamping them both at the same time. And I'm making sure I have lots of magnets and it's really wedged down in the bottom left corner, because I'm going to overstamp this again once I'm finished my watercoloring. So I want to make sure that it's really nestled in there. Again, I'm using the black ink. It's waterproof, so it works perfectly for my watercolor technique. The colors for today's ink: a scattered straw, mustard seed, peacock feather, and wilted violet, and seedless preserves. And as you can see, I'm stamping them on acrylic handles because I'm just going to use a little bit of the ink, and I find these easier to clean than using an entire craft mat. So that's my little trick for today. They fit easier in my little tiny sink I have down here in the basement. Okay, so I'm zooming in so that you can see what I'm up to, and have a little glass of water on the side, and I'm starting with my purples, and I'm going to add 2 purples to the flower petals. And I work in sections because I want it to stay moist while I add my second color. And distressed oxides don't really blend. They kind of sit on top of each other because they're opaque, but you can get them to kind of run together a little bit if both pieces are still wet. And that's why I'm watercoloring in little sections. And you'll see me work my way across, and I go back and forth between the 2 colors, cleaning my paintbrush with the water as I go. And the purple is up near the center of the flower, and the pink is down near the bottom. And working my way over, and you'll find that it's going to get a little bit lighter as it dries, and so you have the opportunity to go back over that and darken it up a little bit if you want to, and you'll see that I do that a little bit as I'm working through this. And it does take a few minutes, but it's really pretty results, so it's kind of worth it. And you could actually do this while you were watching a movie. I do anyway. I think I don't watch so much as I listen. It keeps my subconscious going while I color. Okay, so just finishing up, and I'm going back over some of my lighter purples and blending them a little bit together. And then I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm going to move on to the blues and yellows. So I start the leaves by adding a little bit of yellow, and I'm adding some into the top of my flower as well, so I don't waste any of the ink. And then I'm coming back and I'm putting the peacock feather. I know, weird color, but I think it's a cool combination. Putting that into the leaves and the stems and kind of working around that yellow, which is still wet. So it's going to run into my blue a little bit. And of course, blue and yellow makes green. So I'm getting a 3rd color out of it as I work through it as well. And sometimes the blue will kind of cover the whole yellow, so you can go back and touch it up. And I'm kind of going back and forth with the yellow, adding a little bit in as I'm letting it dry. Okay, so on to the top of the cornflower. I'm putting the blue down in the bottom, and then I'm going to add the 2 layers of the yellow at the top, just to add some interest to the flower. And that's it. So as you noticed, I colored right inside my MISTI. That way I did not have to try and move it and line it back up, but you probably could. You can get it right back in there. And I'm going to ink up my stamps again in that VersaFine black, and I'm going to stamp twice and get a really nice dark outline over top of the ink. And that is refreshing all my black lines for me, so I have this beautiful detailed image. Next, I used my coordinating dies and I ran it through my Big Shot machine, and I'm getting these lovely images. And what's very cool about these dies is they don't leave a white line around your image. They cut right up next to the black line, which I actually love. Other than the sentiment, I'm all ready to put my card together, so I'm going to burnish my fold. This is a 5x7 card, so it's 7x10, and you're going to score and fold it at 5. And then I've got my outside and my inside art pieces, and they are out of white cardstock, the Neenah white 80 pound, and they're 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. I am matting them with a piece of black 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. And as you saw, I added foam tape to the back of my flower and my stem, and I'm positioning my flower. I haven't got it glued down yet. I'm going to glue the stem down first, and then I'm going to remove the protective covers off the back of the foam on the back of my flower head and attach it over top of the two that I stamped in black. Now, don't you love that there's a foreground and a background just by simply doing 2 layers of stamping? Love it! I die cut the large Hello die out of black cardstock, and I'm going to be attaching that to my card front, and I'm using the Gina K Connect glue and just a couple little dabs on there, and then I'm going to use my tweezers to flip it over and add it to the front of my card. And then previously I had taken another one of the sentiments from that Hero Art stamp set, and I had white embossed it onto a little piece of black cardstock. And here's the trick I like to do. I do it right along the bottom of the edge of a piece of cardstock, and then I pop it into my tonic cutter and I cut off just a little piece that I need. And I find that a lot easier than trying to line things up and get my embossing exactly in the middle of a little tiny piece of paper. And I'm adding a couple of foam dots to the back of this. I want this just to pop up just a tiny little bit. And this is actually going on the inside of my card. So when you open it, you get the black flower, and then you get the rest of the sentiment and lots of room to do a little writing. So there you go. There's my shares for today. I have listed all of the supplies that I used underneath this video in the links, and there's also a link to my blog. And if you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. Maybe yours is cleaner than mine. Until next time, thank you for visiting, and happy stamping.